Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive channel. This is where we really get into powerful ideas to help you fully understand complex topics.
That's right.
Today, we're cutting straight to the heart of something that I think could genuinely change how you approach, well, pretty much everything. It's Greg McKeown's amazing book, Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit.
A fantastic read.
Absolutely. And our mission for this deep dive is simple. Pull out the absolute core insights, the real nuggets, so you can quickly get a handle on this whole idea of living less but better.
Less but better. It sounds simple, but it's profound.
It really is. So get ready for maybe some surprising facts, some real aha moments. Hopefully you'll leave feeling, clearer and more in control.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start by unpacking the fundamental philosophy here. There's that great quote by Lin Yutang.
Oh yeah, the Chinese scholar.
Right. He said, "The wisdom of life consists in the elimination of non-essentials."
That quote really nails it, doesn't it? It gets right to the core. Essentialism isn't just, doing less just cause.
Right. It's not about being lazy or anything.
Not at all. It's not even just about productivity, although that can be a side effect. It's a much deeper shift in how you operate.
Okay.
It's about making the absolute wisest possible investment of your time, your energy, which are finite, and dedicating yourself only to what is truly essential.
Yeah.
So you can operate at your highest point of contribution. It's that disciplined pursuit.
Well,
Less but better.
less but better. For so many of us, that sounds like a dream, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because the reality is often the complete opposite.
It really is.
The book mentions this executive, Sam Elliott, in Silicon Valley.
I remember that story.
Yeah. So his company gets acquired, and suddenly he's just stretched incredibly thin. He wanted to be a good team player, earnest guy.
So he said yes.
He just kept saying yes to everything. And what happens? He's rushing between meetings, trying to keep everyone happy.
And the actual work suffers.
Exactly. His stress goes through the roof, and the quality of his work just plummets. He felt like he was, what's the phrase? Majoring in minor activities.
Majoring in minor activities. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And so common.
Right. And his work just became unfulfilling, frustrating. Does that sound familiar to you out there listening? I bet it does for some.
Oh, it's such a classic non-essentialist trap. And honestly, I think almost all of us fall into it at some point or another. It's easy to do.
Definitely.
The book uses that great analogy like your closet.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't consciously make an effort to keep it organized, what happens? It just gets cluttered, stuffed with clothes you never wear.
Totally guilty.
Right. Our lives are weirdly similar. New demands, new requests, emails, opportunities. They're constantly being shoved into our life's closet. You might start your workday with a perfectly good plan, right? But by 10 a.m.
You're already off the rails.
Exactly. You're off track. And your to-do list, does it get shorter by 5 p.m.?
Never. It gets longer.
Usually longer. It's crazy.
So, okay, if that sounds painfully familiar, the really good news is there's a way out. There's an alternative.
Exactly. And that's what Essentialism offers. It's about creating a systematic way to actually manage the closet of our lives.
The system. I like that.
Yeah. It teaches you how to systematically figure out what's truly important, what's essential, then how to, courageously eliminate what isn't.
It takes guts sometimes.
It really does. And then, crucially, how to make doing the essential stuff as effortless as possible.
Oh, okay. Effortless.
Well, more effortless. It's a path, really, to new levels of success, yeah, but also meaning and actual joy in the journey, not just chasing this endless list of tasks.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. It's not just about efficiency, it's about meaning too.
Precisely.
All right, let's dig into the mindset then, the core mindset that really drives an essentialist. The book talks about 3 deeply ingrained assumptions we have to conquer.
Right. These are like the big mental blocks. The first one is recognizing that you have the invincible power of choice.
Power of choice. Okay.
What's really fascinating here is how easily we forget this. We just forget we can choose. The book mentions that classic work, Seligman and Mayer, on learned helplessness.
Oh, the dog experiments.
Yeah, exactly. Those experiments where if dogs were repeatedly shocked and couldn't stop it, later on, even when they could escape the shock, they wouldn't even try. They just lay there. They learned to be helpless.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a powerful and honestly a bit unsettling comparison.
It is.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How often do we become like those dogs, believing we have no choice when actually maybe we do? We feel trapped by, external pressures, what other people expect, our circumstances. Yeah. And we forget that ultimately we can choose our response.
Yeah.
We can choose our focus.
Absolutely. We can choose where to put our energy. And that leads right into the second big truth,
Okay.
which is the unimportance of practically everything.
Wait, the unimportance? That sounds wrong.
I know, it's so counterintuitive, right? In our world, that screams more is more. But the idea is that most of our actions or ideas where we put our resources actually have very little value. They yield very little result. Think about Boxer, the horse in Orwell's Animal Farm.
Oh, right. I will work harder.
Exactly. His answer to every single setback, every problem was just, I will work harder. Noble intention, right? But his efforts actually made things worse on the farm.
Yeah, ironically.
That kind of 1.1 logic, just put in more effort, get more results. It's often really flawed. It's why we get stuck spinning our wheels.
That work harder idea is so deep in our culture, though. It feels almost wrong to do less. How does essentialism really challenge that?
It forces us to face a kind of uncomfortable truth. Most of what we do, most of the stuff we chase after, it actually yields very little real value.
Okay.
It's about recognizing something called the power law in our lives. You ever heard of it?
Vaguely. Like the 80-20 rule.
Similar idea, yeah. Pareto principle. Basically, a very small percentage of your efforts, your inputs, will produce the vast majority of your results, your outputs. Think like a scattered buckshot versus a focused laser beam.
Okay, I see that.
Non-essentialists are kind of using the buckshot approach, trying to hit everything, hoping something works.
Right, spreading themselves thin.
Exactly. Essentialists understand that the real leverage comes from finding and magnifying those few high-impact efforts, the vital few. They actively scan for those opportunities, and then they, eagerly get rid of the trivial many.
Okay, the vital few versus the trivial many. I like that framing.
Yeah.
Now, this next one. This is where I think the rubber really meets the road for a lot of us.
Uh-huh.
The third truth. It tackles that pervasive myth that you can have it all.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
Good one.
We hear it everywhere, right? Advertising, job descriptions demanding everything, even university applications wanting dozens of extracurriculars. But the book says this isn't just a myth, it's actually a dangerous illusion. Why is challenging this so key?
Well, think about the word priority. Historically, for like 500 years, it was singular.
Really? Just one?
Yeah. It meant the very first thing, the single most important thing. It only became plural priorities in the 1900s.
Huh. I never knew that.
So this idea that we can have multiple first things is kind of illogical, isn't it?
Yeah, when you put it like that.
When we try to do it all, have it all, we inevitably end up making trade-offs, but we make them unconsciously at the margins by default, not by deliberate design.
Right. Things just sort of fall off the plate.
Exactly. Whereas strategy, as Michael Porter famously said, is all about making deliberate choices and deliberate trade-off.
Can you give me an example? A company, maybe?
Sure. Southwest Airlines is a classic. Herb Kelleher, their founder.
Right. Low fares.
Yeah. But how did they do it? He consciously chose not to offer meals. No assigned seats, no connecting flights with other airlines. They focused purely, laser-like, on low-cost, point-to-point service. That was the trade-off.
And competitors couldn't really copy it easily.
Right, because competitors like Continental tried to sort of straddle the strategies. They kept their existing full-service stuff, but tried to add a cheap option like Continental Light.
Yeah, I remember that. It didn't work.
It failed miserably because they weren't making clear, coherent, strategic trade-offs. They just ended up compromising everything.
Okay, that makes sense. And this clarity about trade-offs, it shows up in crises too, right? Like the Tylenol example.
Oh, the Johnson & Johnson case in '82. Absolutely. Tylenol was their most profitable product, hugely successful.
Yeah.
Then those terrible reports surfaced. 7 people died after taking cyanide-laced capsules. It was a massive crisis.
It's unimaginable.
J&J faced this enormous decision, but they had their credo written way back in 1943.
Their value statement.
Exactly. And it clearly stated, customers first, then employees, community, shareholders last.
Last. Why?
So that credo allowed them, guided them, to make the incredibly tough trade-off. Recall all Tylenol nationwide. Cost them $100 million back then.
Huge amount of money.
Massive. But customer safety was the clear, essential priority based on their values. So the trade-off, while painful, was clear.
That's a powerful example of values driving the trade-off.
It really is. And see, essentialists don't frame this negatively, asking, oh no, what do I have to give up? That's the non-essentialist mindset.
Right. Scarcity thinking.
Yeah. Instead, the essentialist asks, What do I want to go big on?
Ooh, I like that. Go big on.
They see trade-offs not as a loss, but as an inherent, even positive part of life. It's how you gain strategic clarity. There's that funny but insightful analogy, the 4-burner stove.
I think I've heard this.
Yeah, 1 burner for family, 1 for friends, 1 for health, 1 for work.
Okay.
The idea is, to be successful, you have to cut off 1 burner completely. And to be really successful...
That's a cut off 2. Ouch.
Yeah, it's deliberately provocative, right?
Right.
But it forces you to confront the reality of trade-offs and choose what you will truly, consciously go big on.
Okay, wow. So discern the vital few. Embrace trade-offs. That's the mindset. How do we actually do this? Put it into practice.
Right. The book lays out a pretty clear process. It starts with figuring out what is essential in the first place.
Exploring. How?
Well, first you need space. Space to think, to reflect, to actually explore options. We live in such a noisy, busy world.
Tell me about it.
Without deliberately creating time for quiet thought, we're just reacting all the time. We're bouncing from one urgent thing to the next.
Like Bill Gates' Think Week.
Exactly. That's the extreme example, mate. But twice a year, he'd go off by himself, just read and think. Even when Microsoft was crazy busy, he dedicated himself to, quote, thinking on it continually.
It sounds extreme, maybe, but the principle behind it. If someone like Bill Gates needs that kind of dedicated thinking time, how much more do the rest of us?
Right. And we don't all need a whole week.
No.
You could start smaller. Maybe reading something, thoughtful, classic literature, even for 20 minutes in the morning instead of instantly checking email.
Good idea. Break the reactive cycle.
Exactly. The faster and busier things seem to get, the more crucial this quiet reflection time becomes. It's where you focus, make sense of things.
Okay, create space. Then what?
Then you use that space to really look, to discern what truly matters. Nora Ephron, the writer,
Great writer.
she learned from her high school journalism teacher, Mr. Sims, how to find the lead.
The lead in the story.
Yeah, the essential core, the why, what, when, who, stripping away everything else that's just noise. It's about training yourself to see the signal through all the static.
And just like we can miss the lead in a story, we can miss it in our own lives too, right?
Yeah.
Getting bogged down in minor details.
Totally. We lose sight of the bigger picture. Journaling, for example, can be a great tool here. It helps you step back, find the lead in your own days and weeks, see the larger, more essential patterns emerging.
Makes sense. Get perspective.
And sometimes you really have to get out into the field, so to speak, experience the reality to understand what's essential. That Embrace Nest project.
The baby incubator.
Yeah. Initially, they were just focused on making it cheaper. Cost was the perceived essential problem.
Okay.
But then the team actually went to Nepal. They spent time in these rural villages, and they discovered the real essential problem wasn't just cost.
What was it?
It was that 80% of the babies were born at home with no electricity.
Oh. So a standard incubator wouldn't work anyway.
Exactly. That discovery completely changed everything. It clarified the essential question and led them to design this amazing non-electric solution, like a little sleeping bag filled with wax that holds heat.
Wow. That's a great story about finding the right problem to solve.
It really is. So it makes you ask, are we asking the right questions in our own lives, in our work?
Good question.
Because when teams or even individuals don't clarify their essential purpose, they fall into traps like playing politics or that it's all good trap.
Where everyone's doing their own well-intentioned thing, but nothing really connects.
Precisely. Effort gets diffused, scattered. Contrast that with, say, Brad Pitt's Make It Right Foundation after Hurricane Katrina.
Right, in New Orleans.
They had a super concrete, inspiring goal. Build 150 affordable, green, storm-resistant homes. That singular clarity was powerful. It focused everyone.
Okay, clarity is key. What else helps us explore?
Well, don't underestimate the power of play.
Play, really?
Well, absolutely. Studies show animals are more flexible, more creative, learn better when they play. And humans, we are literally built to play. We're built through play.
Right.
When we allow ourselves to play whatever that means for you, or tapping into something deeply human, it actually expands our minds, makes us more open to exploration, to innovation. It's not frivolous. It's essential for clear thinking.
Interesting. I never thought of play as essential. And what about the basics, like sleep?
Oh, absolutely critical. Protecting your most valuable asset.
Yeah.
And sleep is foundational. We wear sleep deprivation like a badge of honor sometimes, don't we?
Guilty again. Running on fumes.
Yeah. But the book tells that story of Jeff, this super successful CEO, total overachiever, always burning the candle at both ends. He ended up experiencing really debilitating physical symptoms, just worn out. His doctor basically told him, you need to protect the asset, meaning him. And sleep was non-negotiable.
Protect the asset.
I like that. Sleep isn't the enemy of productivity, it's the driver of peak performance. Bill Clinton apparently said every major mistake he ever made happened when he was sleep deprived.
Wow.
And remember that study on violinists? The best ones didn't just practice more, they slept more. Averaged 8.6 hours a day, plus naps.
So they got more out of their practice time because they were rested.
Exactly. It's about working smarter, recovering properly, not just grinding longer.
Okay, so explore, create space, look, play, sleep. That helps us find the essential. Then comes the hard part, selecting.
Fiercely selective, that's the term. Derek Sivers, the TED speaker, he has that really simple, powerful rule. If it's not a hell yeah, then it's a no.
I love that.
Yeah.
So decisive.
Isn't it? If you don't feel total enthusiastic conviction about something, an opportunity, a project, even a social event, if it's not a hell yeah, then the answer is just no.
That cuts through a lot of maybes.
It really does. Or you can use what the book calls the 90% rule.
90% rule.
Yeah. Score any opportunity, any option on a simple scale of 1 to 10.
Oh.
If it's not a 9 or a 10, it's a 0. It's a no.
Wow, that's a high bar. Only 9s and 10s.
It's incredibly liberating. Think about that furniture company, Vitso.
Vitso. Don't know them.
They've basically offered only one core product for decades. This specific shelving system, the 606. Why?
Right.
Because it's the only thing that meets their incredibly high standards. It perfectly embodies their less but better philosophy. They say no to everything else.
One product for decades.
Yeah.
That's focus.
Extreme focus. And it applies to business growth, too. Nancy Tuarte's story.
The presentation design agency.
Right. They were struggling as just a generalist design firm. Then she read Jim Collins' Good to Great and had this realization. They needed to focus on what they could be truly uniquely best at.
If was.
Designing presentations, work that back then maybe others didn't really want to do. She made the tough call to say a disciplined no to all other types of design work.
Even when times were tough.
Even in bad economic times, when saying yes to any work was tempting, she stuck to it, and they became the absolute premier company in that niche. Fierce selectivity paid off.
Okay, so how can we, the listener, apply this systematically?
There's a process in the book. Try this. 1, write down the opportunity clearly. 2, list 3 minimum criteria it absolutely must meet to even be considered. If it fails any of these, it's an immediate no.
Okay, minimums first.
Then list 3 ideal or extreme criteria. These are the things that would make it truly valuable. A real hell yeah.
Right. The 9 or 10 factors.
Exactly. And the rule is, even if it passes the minimums, if it doesn't meet at least 2 out of your 3 extreme criteria, it's still a no.
It's still a no.
Okay.
That's rigorous.
It is. But it forces clarity. It's how essentialists, like that National Geographic explorer Enric Sala, managed to say no to lots of good, interesting opportunities.
So they can say an enthusiastic yes to the one thing that truly aligns with their highest point of contribution.
Precisely.
But okay, saying no, that's often the absolute hardest part for people, isn't it? Feels awkward or rude.
It really is tough. But it's so central to elimination. The book uses Rosa Parks as an example.
Her no on the bus.
Yeah. That quiet but incredibly resolute no to giving up her seat. Apparently, she wasn't naturally assertive or confrontational. She described herself as timid.
Really?
Yeah. Her courage to say no in that moment didn't come from personality. It came from deep conviction. From the deliberate choice she was making about justice and dignity.
Conviction fuels the no.
Exactly. We often hesitate because we fear missing out, right? FOMO. Or we worry about rocking the boat, disappointing someone, being seen as difficult. We're wired to get along.
Totally. People-pleasing is real.
It is. But the book offers this really crucial framing. You can say no and maybe regret it for a few minutes, or you can say yes and regret it for days, weeks, months, even years.
Oof. That puts it in perspective.
When you're clear on your purpose, on what's essential, that clarity fuels the strength to say no when you need to. Like that story of Cynthia's father.
The date nights.
Yeah, he had this complex, important work trip coming up, but he meticulously planned a special date night with his 12-year-old daughter beforehand. And during that time, he said an unequivocal no to any work calls or distractions. His daughter was the essential priority in that moment.
Okay, so how do we actually say no gracefully without burning bridges or causing offense?
The book gives a whole toolkit, actually. Lots of options.
Like what?
Well, there's the yes, but approach. You agree to a small part of the request, but not the whole thing.
Okay. Partial yes.
Or a simple polite, I'm truly honored you asked, but I'm afraid I can't right now. Or the classic stall, let me check my calendar and get back to you. That buys you crucial thinking time.
Good one. Avoids the immediate pressure.
Totally. Another great one, especially for work requests. Yes. What should I deprioritize to make space for this?
Ooh. That shifts the trade-off decision back to them.
Exactly. It makes the trade-off explicit. These are all tools, really, for maintaining grace under pressure, ways to politely but firmly protect your boundaries.
Okay, those are useful scripts. What about things we're already committed to, but maybe shouldn't be?
Yes. Uncommitting. This involves tackling the sunk cost bias.
Sunk costs. I know this one. Throwing good money after bad.
Precisely. It's our tendency to keep pouring time, money, energy into something, even when it's clearly not working, just because we've already invested so much. That feeling of, I can't quit now. I've already put in X amount.
Yeah, like staying in a bad movie because you paid for the ticket.
Or the Concorde jet. Governments kept pouring money into it for decades, even though it consistently lost money. Sunk cost fallacy on a massive scale.
Right. So essentialists aren't afraid to cut their losses.
Exactly. Unlike non-essentialists who often hate admitting mistakes, essentialists are comfortable, or at least willing, to courageously cut their losses. A good antidote is to ask yourself, if I weren't already invested in this, how much would I pay in time, energy, or money to get involved today?
That detaches you from the past investment.
It helps you reevaluate objectively. Admitting failure or that something just isn't working, it feels tough, but it's often the first step towards redirecting your resources to something that is essential.
Makes sense. Anything else to watch out for when uncommitting?
Definitely be aware of the status quo bias.
Doing things just because we've always done it this way.
Exactly that. It's lazy thinking. The book suggests using zero-based budgeting, not just for money, but for your time and commitments too.
How does that work?
Instead of just tweaking last year's plan, you start from zero. Assume all previous commitments are gone. Then you have to actively justify every single use of your time, energy, and resources from scratch based on what's essential now.
Wow, that's a radical reset.
It can be. Or you could run a reverse pilot. Temporarily stop doing an activity or attending a meeting and see what actually happens. Is it truly missed? Is it essential?
Test by removal. Clever. Okay, so we explore, select, say no, uncommit. What's next?
It all leads to this idea of editing your life, like a film editor.
Editing.
Yeah. Michael Kahn, who edited most of Spielberg's movies, 8 Oscar nominations.
Incredible editor.
But his art is largely invisible, right? Because great editing is often about subtracting.
Yeah.
Taking things out to make the whole thing better, tighter, more impactful, not adding more stuff in.
Subtracting the non-essential.
Exactly. Editing means making things better by removing distractions, streamlining, condensing, like that quote, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter. Brevity takes effort.
True. Condensing is hard work.
Yeah. Think of Graham Hill's life-edited projects, these tiny apartments where every single piece of furniture has multiple functions, getting way more utility out of less space by editing down possessions.
Right. Maximizing function.
Or even just condensing a rambling 2-hour meeting into a focused 10-minute update by asking only for the key takeaways. That's editing in action.
Okay. This whole process, explore, eliminate, execute. It sounds powerful, but maybe hard work. How to make it easier, more effortless.
That's the final piece. Executing with ease. Making the doing of the essential stuff feel less like a constant struggle. And the first key here is building buffers.
Buffers, like padding.
Exactly. We live in an unpredictable world. Things go wrong. Delays happen. Essentialists anticipate this. They don't assume the best case scenario for everything. Remember Joseph in the Bible?
Saving grain during the good years.
Right. He saved Egypt from famine by creating a buffer, storing 1/5 of the harvest during the 7 years of plenty, preparing for the 7 years of famine. He built in a massive buffer.
So we need buffers for our time, our projects.
Definitely. Because we constantly fall prey to the planning fallacy. We're terrible at estimating how long things will actually take. We're usually way too optimistic.
Guilty again. Always think I can squeeze more in.
We all do. Essentialists, though, they expect the unexpected. They build in that extra time, that contingency plan, that extra financial cushion. They prepare.
Like Amundsen versus Scott in the race to the South Pole.
Oh, that's the ultimate example of extreme preparation versus assuming the best. Amundsen prepared meticulously for everything that could go wrong.
How so?
He brought 4 thermometers. Scott brought 1. Amundsen stored 3 tons of food along the route. Scott stored 1. Amundsen planted 20 supply markers for the return journey. Scott used just 1 flag per depot.
And the result?
Amundsen and his team made it back safely. Scott and his entire party tragically died on the return journey. Preparation, the buffer, was literally life and death. Successful people, successful companies, they don't necessarily predict the future better, but they prepare better.
Okay, how do we apply that? Scenario planning.
Yeah, that's a great technique. Like, for any important project, ask yourself 5 questions. 1, what risks do you face? 2, what's the absolute worst case scenario? 3, what would be the social consequences of that? 4, what would be the financial consequences? And crucially, 5, how can you invest right now in time, money, preparation to reduce those risks or strengthen your resilience if the worst happens?
That forces you to think ahead and identify where buffers are needed.
Exactly. It points you to a way to build them.
Okay, buffers. What else helps execution?
Subtracting obstacles. Instead of just pushing harder against resistance, figure out what's actually slowing things down and remove that.
Like finding the bottleneck, the constraint.
Precisely. Like in that business novel, The Goal. Find the slowest hiker that's holding back the whole group and focus on fixing that constraint. Or like the Richmond police shifting from just reacting to crime to proactively identifying and eliminating the things that caused crime in the first place, removing the obstacles strategically.
Proactive removal, not just more effort.
Okay.
What about momentum?
Huge. The power of small wins. You know Silicon Valley's motto, done is better than perfect.
Yeah, though sometimes it feels like an excuse for sloppy work.
Ha. Maybe sometimes. But the principle is about focusing on minimal viable progress, making tangible headway, even if it's small. Pixar apparently says, we don't actually finish our films, we release them.
Meaning they're always iterating.
Constantly iterating, improving in small, manageable cycles. You can apply this yourself. Feeling overwhelmed by a huge presentation, just commit to working on it for 4 minutes. Seriously, 4 minutes.
Anyone can do 4 minutes.
Right. Or spend just 15 seconds defining the one objective for an upcoming meeting. These tiny steps build momentum and overcome procrastination. They add up.
Small wins build momentum and routines.
Ah, the genius of routine. Absolutely key for effortless execution. Think of Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer. He had this incredibly precise pre-race ritual. Same music, same stretches, same timing, every single time.
Why is routine so powerful?
Because routines literally rewire your brain. They strengthen neural connections, making complex actions more automatic, requiring less conscious effort.
Frees up mental energy.
Exactly. It puts essential activities on autopilot, freeing up your conscious mind to focus on other things or just to be more present. Csikszentmihalyi, the flow guy.
Right. Flow.
He found that highly creative people often rely on very strict routines in their daily lives. That structure actually liberates their minds for innovation during their creative time.
Structure enables freedom.
Sure.
Interesting paradox.
It really is.
Okay, buffers, removing obstacles, small wins, routines. What's the final piece for execution?
Focusing on the now. Being fully present in the current moment.
What's important now?
That's the question. Larry Gelwicks, that legendary high school rugby coach.
Yeah.
He constantly drilled that into his players. What's important now? Focus only on the current play. Don't dwell on the mistake you just made. Don't worry about the final score yet. Just execute this moment. He distinguished between losing, meaning losing focus, and being beaten, meaning the other team was just better that day.
Controlling what you can control, which is your focus right now.
Precisely. The ancient Greeks had 2 words for time, chronos.
Like chronological time, clocks ticking.
Yeah, linear, sequential time. But they also had kairos.
Kairos.
Kairos means the opportune moment, the right time, the qualitative sense of the eternal now. And while we absolutely need to learn from the past, chronos, and plan for the future, chronos, the only time we can actually execute, the only time we can operate at our highest contribution is right now in kairos.
So essentialists tune into the present moment.
They practice being present, like that executive who developed a little ritual, pausing at his front door when he got home from work, closing his eyes, taking a breath, consciously exhaling the work issues.
So he could be fully present with his family.
Exactly. Applying that pause that refreshes to transition mindfully.
This is all adding up to something pretty profound.
It really is. Ultimately, essentialism isn't just a productivity hack. It's about designing and living a life that truly matters. A life of meaning and contribution. Think about someone like Mahatma Gandhi.
Okay.
He consciously, deliberately reduced himself to zero, as he put it. He eliminated virtually everything non-essential from his life possessions, distractions, even reading newspapers eventually.
Why? To focus entirely on his mission.
To devote himself with absolute singular purpose to the liberation of the oppressed, that stark contrast between majoring in minor activities, like most of us do by default, and having essentialism at your core. That's the crucial difference. It transforms your impact.
But it's easy to lose that focus, right? The paradox of success.
Paradox. It's so insidious. You apply essentialism, you focus, you succeed.
Which leads to more opportunities, more requests.
Exactly. More options come your way because of your success. And if you're not careful, that very success starts to pull you in too many directions again. You get spread thin, your clarity gets diluted.
And you undermine the very focus that led to the success in the first place. It's a cycle.
It's a dangerous cycle. And essentialism, this disciplined, ongoing pursuit of less but better, is really the only sustainable way out of that trap.
So it's not a one-time fix.
Not at all. Focusing on the essentials is a choice you have to keep making. It's your choice every day, every week. It's a long process, definitely a journey, not a destination. But the payoff is immense. More clarity, more impact, and eventually a life where executing what truly matters becomes more and more effortless.
Less but better.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's our deep dive into Greg McKeown's Essentialism, the disciplined pursuit. We've really covered how this clear, disciplined approach, identifying, eliminating, executing, can shift your life from feeling overwhelming to feeling profoundly meaningful.
It really is a powerful framework. So for you listening, what's the one thing that really stands out to you from this deep dive? What resonated most?
Yeah, think about one area in your life, just one to start, where you could apply this principle of less but better, maybe this week.
Where could you make a conscious trade-off, perhaps? Decide what you want to go big on by letting go of something less essential.
Great questions to ponder. We really hope this deep dive has given you some powerful insights and maybe some practical, actionable ideas you can use right away.
Hope so.
And hey, if you found this valuable, if you got something out of it, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button.
Yeah, that helps others find it.
And maybe share this content with someone else you know who might be feeling a bit overwhelmed and could benefit from thinking about essentialism.
Spread the word.
And definitely let us know your biggest takeaway or that one thing you're going to try down in the comments below. We love hearing from you.
We really do.
Thanks so much for joining us here on the podcast channel for this deep dive. We really appreciate you tuning in.
Thanks, everyone.
And we look forward to our next deep dive with you soon.